Dominican Republic, a beautiful Caribbean nation known for its stunning beaches, vibrant culture, and delicious cuisine. But behind the picture-perfect postcards and tourist brochures lies a history filled with lesser-known stories, mysteries, and secrets that have shaped the nation as we know it today. In this episode of Legacy of the Unknown, we're going to take a deep dive into the hidden past of the Dominican Republic. We'll explore the lesser-known stories of the country's indigenous Taino people, the impact of Spanish colonization, the brutal dictatorship of Rafael Trujillo, and the ongoing social and economic challenges faced by the nation. The Dominican Republic is a nation located on the island of Hispaniola in the Caribbean. It was originally inhabited by the Taino people, who were an indigenous group that lived in the Caribbean islands, including present-day Cuba, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, and the Bahamas. They had a complex society and culture with a well-developed agriculture system, complex religious beliefs, and a rich artistic heritage. The Taino people were the first indigenous group encountered by Christopher Columbus when he arrived in the Caribbean in 1492. Unfortunately, the arrival of the Europeans marked the beginning of the end of the Taino people's way of life. The Taino people lived in small communities led by a cacique or chief. They were known for their skilled farming, fishing, and hunting, and had a strong spiritual connection to the natural world. They believed that everything in nature had a spirit or soul, and that these spirits controlled the forces of nature. The Taino people had a complex system of gods and goddesses that they believed controlled the forces of nature. These included the god of the sun, Yukahu, and the goddess of the moon, Atabe. They also had a rich artistic tradition, with skilled artisans creating pottery, baskets, and other items. The arrival of Europeans brought disease, forced labor, and war to the Taino. Europeans brought diseases such as smallpox, to which the Tainos had no immunity, resulting in many deaths. The Europeans also forced the Taino people to work in the encomienda system, which was a form of forced labor. Many Taino people were forced to work in gold mines, and the harsh conditions led to many deaths. The Taino people also suffered greatly from warfare. The Europeans often used the Taino people as pawns in their wars with other European powers, and many Taino people were killed and were eventually conquered by the Spanish in the late 15th century. The Dominican Republic remained under Spanish rule for over 300 years, until a revolution in 1821 led to the establishment of the country as an independent nation. However, the new nation was plagued by instability and political turmoil in the following decades, with a series of coups and changes in government. The most notorious of these was the dictatorship of Rafael Trujillo, who came to power in 1930 and ruled the country with an iron fist for over 3 decades. Under Trujillo's rule, the country experienced economic growth, but also suffered human rights abuses, including massacres of political dissidents and the brutal repression of Afro-Dominican and Haitian communities. This included the massacring of thousands of Haitians who were living in the country. Eventually, a plot to assassinate Rafael Trujillo, also known as Operation May 30th, was planned to overthrow the dictatorship of Trujillo, which could have been said to be kicked off by the assassination of the Mirabal sisters. The plot was hatched by a group of exiled Dominican dissidents with the support of the governments of Cuba, Venezuela, and the United States. The mastermind behind the plot was Antonio de la Maza, a wealthy Dominican businessman who had fled the country after falling out of favor with Trujillo. De la Maza recruited a group of exiled dissidents, including the brothers Antonio and Angel Imbert, who had been imprisoned and tortured by Trujillo's regime. The plotters received support and funding from the Cuban government, which was led by Fidel Castro at the time. Castro saw Trujillo as a threat to the stability of the region and provided the plotters with weapons, training, and a safe haven in Cuba. The United States government, which had previously supported Trujillo, also played a role in the plot. The Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, provided the plotters with intelligence and logistical support, and even considered providing them with air cover during the operation. On May 30th, 1961, a group of 12 conspirators, including the Imbert brothers, set out to carry out the assassination of Trujillo. They ambushed his car on a desolate road outside the capital city of Santo Domingo, firing on the vehicle with rifles and a submachine gun. Trujillo was hit multiple times and died instantly, while his driver was also killed in the attack. The plotters fled the scene, but were later captured and executed by Trujillo's forces. The assassination of Trujillo sent shockwaves through the Dominican Republic and the region. It led to a power struggle within the ruling party and eventually paved the way for the country's transition to democracy. However, the plot also had unintended consequences. Trujillo's death led to a period of instability and violence in the Dominican Republic, as various factions vied for power. The United States intervened militarily in 1965 to restore order and prevent a communist takeover of the country. The Dominican Republic is a beautiful country with a rich culture and a diverse population. However, there is an uncomfortable truth that many Dominicans don't like to talk about: racism towards each other. Many Dominicans have internalized racism, which can be seen in the way they treat each other based on skin color and socioeconomic status. Lighter-skinned Dominicans are often treated better than darker-skinned Dominicans, and those who are perceived as poor or uneducated are often looked down upon. This internalized racism can be traced back to the country's colonial past, where lighter-skinned Europeans were viewed as superior to the darker-skinned indigenous and African peoples who were brought over as slaves. This was made only worse during the reign of Trujillo, who promoted an anti-Haitian sentiment and used racial persecution and nationalistic fervor against Haitian migrants. Dominicans often view Haitians as inferior and blame them for the country's social and economic problems. This prejudice has led to violence against Haitians and Dominicans of Haitian descent, as well as discrimination in employment and education. The Haitian government has also been critical of the Dominican Republic's treatment of Haitians and their descendants, leading to further tension between the two countries. One of the main sources of tension between the Dominican Republic and Haiti is their shared border. Haitians have long been immigrating to the Dominican Republic in search of work and a better life, but the Dominican government has often responded with hostility and discriminatory policies. In 2013, the Dominican Republic passed a law that stripped citizenship from anyone born after 1929 who could not prove that they or their parents were legal residents. This law disproportionately affected Dominicans of Haitian descent, who make up a significant portion of the country's population. But as explained earlier, the tension between the two countries can be traced back to the colonial era. The French colony of Saint-Domingue, now Haiti, was the wealthiest in the Caribbean, thanks to its large-scale sugar plantations worked by enslaved Africans. The Spanish colony on the eastern side of the island, now the Dominican Republic, was relatively poor and underdeveloped. After gaining independence, the Dominican Republic struggled to establish itself as a viable nation-state, while Haiti became the first black republic in the world. The two countries have had different trajectories ever since, with Haiti facing a long history of political instability and economic challenges of their own. As we've seen throughout this video, the history of the Dominican Republic is complex and multifaceted. From its origins as a colony of Spain, to its struggle for independence, to the dictatorial regimes of Trujillo and beyond, the Dominican Republic has seen its fair share of triumphs and tragedies. However, it's important to remember that there is more to the country's history than what is commonly known or taught. The lesser-known history of the Dominican Republic is rich with stories of resistance, rebellion, and resilience. From the contributions of the Taino people to the legacy of the Mirabal sisters to the challenges the country faces today, there is much to explore and learn about this fascinating nation. By understanding and acknowledging the lesser-known history of the Dominican Republic, we can gain a more nuanced and complete understanding of its past and present. Only by doing so can we truly appreciate the complexity and richness of this vibrant and resilient country. Thank you for watching this video. We hope that you found it informative and enjoyable. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more content like this, so we can continue to release high-quality content for you. We look forward to seeing you in our next video.